Thanks for
Good
letting me in.
afternoon.
Sorry, I
Good,
spoke over you. Good afternoon.
that's all right. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be getting started here in a couple of minutes, giving people time to arrive. We'll start just around 3 p.m. For those of you that are coming into the room, I'm curious who you are and where you are from. So please, in the chat box, if you could list your name, where you are from, and what your major is. Okay, somebody told me the chat box is disabled. Let me see if I can do something about that. All right, it is 3:01. So we are going to go ahead and get started this afternoon. I'd like to say hello to everybody. My name is Daniel Hoyle. I work at the International Students and Scholars Center, the ISSC here at ASU. We're excited to welcome over 3,000 new international students to ASU this fall from a great large variety of countries. Always excited to see the diversity here at Arizona State University. We love having you here. We want you to enjoy your experience here, and we want to learn as much from you as we hopefully you will learn from us here at ASU. Big part of our goal in welcoming everybody is making sure you have the best information possible available to you to help your start, to help you be successful here at ASU. And that's why we wanted to spend a few minutes this afternoon with you to give you a chance to hear from a few folks, from a few people around the university to talk about a few rules, regulations, and resources. We'll also present some time at the end for some of our students to talk to you about their experience. That being said, I know that the chat box was disabled, so I apologize about that. I'll continue to look into that. But there is a Q&A box. If you do have any questions along the way that you want to submit to the Q&A box, we will be monitoring that. So that way you can submit your questions. We can get to them as quickly as we can in real time and address those for you. We are recording today's session, and we will be sharing that recording later in case you wanted to review anything or share with any friends who were unable to make it today, or in case you yourself have to leave early because of another commitment, such as class, work, or other things. Okay, all that being said, I'm going to turn the time over now to two of my coworkers, my colleagues here from the ISSC, that are going to jump in on immigration rules, regulations, and that information with their presentation. So I'll turn over to my colleagues, Cassandra and Cynthia.
All right, thank you, Daniel. I think Cynthia is going to share her screen.
Yes, thank you.
Looks like we're not able to share our videos, so you all can just imagine that we're super beautiful. All right. As Daniel said, we're very thankful that you all are joining us. My name is Cassandra Clark. I'm joined here by my colleague Cynthia Bills, and we both work here in the ISSC, specifically working in the area of immigration advising. And so today we really want to make sure that we share a lot of information about that because it is a really important topic as you are here as a student on a visa. So first, we just wanted to share a little bit about how you can contact us. We have various ways that you can contact us, both on the phone, email, in person. We have what's called drop-in advising, which means you don't have to have an appointment, but we have certain times and days available that you can come either in person or meet with an advisor over Zoom if you have particular questions. And then we also have times where we are visiting the other campuses as well. One of the main ways we will be communicating with you is email. And so it is really, really recommended that you continue to check your ASU email address. We definitely recommend you check it daily. We also recommend keeping your contact information up to date because if we do need to reach out to you, we also could try to call you as well. So having a valid phone number on the record is really helpful for us. So with those emails, this is kind of an example of some of the things that you'll see. So not only are we reaching out and sending emails about maybe things related to immigration, but we also will be sending emails about different events that we have. But there will be times where maybe we're reaching out specifically about a circumstance related to your individual immigration status. We'll be talking about some of the regulations, but an example may be if you're not enrolled in the proper number of classes, we'll be reaching out to you to say, hey, as a reminder, these are the rules. We recommend getting enrolled full time. So this is why it's really important that you check the emails from our office as they're very much applicable to you at all times. So when we talk about these rules, I think a really good place to start is to just kind of explain immigration status and what that means. So being here in the US on a visa means that you have an immigration status to be here. And it's your responsibility to make sure that you understand and comply with the terms of your immigration status. We, of course, want to make sure that we can help you in that. So by doing presentations like this, by having our website, by sending these emails, we want to ensure that students know what these rules are and how you can comply with them. Because if you don't follow the terms of your immigration status, it can lead to very serious consequences. So while we are here to help, we're obligated to ensure that ASU as a whole and that students are following these rules. And because they're federal regulations, it's not something that we get to be flexible about. So we really are hoping that if students can know what the rules are and follow them, we don't have to get to the point of where there's these severe consequences. So when I say immigration regulations, there's lots of different regulations. I would say, I don't know if that's fortunate, unfortunate, but in lots of different areas. So reporting requirements, immigration documentation, academics, employment, we'll be going through some of these main areas today with you. So when we talk though about these immigration regulations and your immigration status, you may hear us say things like maintaining your status or not maintaining your status. So just to give a definition of that. So maintaining your status, or if a student is in status, it means that they're following the regulations of their visa type and they're legally eligible to be here in the US in that status. Now, if someone is not maintaining status or they are out of status, it means that they're not following the regulations. And like I said, that can lead to major consequences, such as potentially having to depart the US. We don't want students to get to that point. We want you to be here, to be able to complete your degree program, be successful in your goals here in the US. So that's why we want to make sure students know the importance of your immigration status and the regulations. And so that way you can know how to follow these regulations and be able to successfully be here in the US in your status. So the first place we'll start is with reporting requirements, and I will pass it off to Cynthia for this section.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cassandra. I'm going to talk to you today about reporting requirements. One thing that you need to do when you first get here to ASU is you'll have to complete what we call SEVIS check-in. This can be done by going to your My ASU page and going to the section where it says complete SEVIS check-in. It does say that check-in needs to be done by August 17th, but if you haven't done so, you can still do it. So please make sure that you complete this task. If you click on the red link right there in the middle of the form, it will take you to our eForm portal where you can complete the check-in process. Once you submitted it, you have fulfilled this requirement and you don't need to contact us about the status of your submission. If something is needed in the future, like we have an issue with the SEVIS check-in, we will reach out to you. Okay, one thing that we want to make sure that you guys keep it updated is your address. So we're going to need your local and your SEVIS or home country address. We would like it to stay current at all times. So if you move or change addresses, please do so within a 10-day period. Here are some examples of what that local address would look like. If you live in an apartment or a residential hall, you'll see that we have the street name listed along with the apartment number. You don't need to list the actual name of the apartment, just the address and the apartment number along with the city, state, and zip code. If you, of course, live in a house off campus, you would just put the street address with the address right there. Okay, let's go to a question. A student has completed their SEVIS check-in, but on their I-94 document that they submitted, it says B2 instead of F1. This would be their visa type. Should they be concerned about this? And what do you think they should do? So feel free to put an answer in the chat.
I guess since the chat is disabled.
Oh, is it? Oops. Okay. I guess so.
Maybe you guys, you all could add it to the Q&A if you have a guess about the answer. I'm not sure if you all can unmute yourself. Trying to make it interactive, but
yes, it might be limited. Okay. Oh, could use the raise hand option.
So if you think it's A, please raise your hand. At the bottom of your screen, there should be a little option that says raise hand.
Okay, so we have someone said A. We have 4+ others raising their hands. So here is the correct answer. We're all ready for this. Once the ISSC sees that their I-94 is incorrect, they will provide instructions to the student to have it corrected. So the student must take this action immediately. So you do need to get the I-94 corrected. The easiest way to do this is to go to a deferred inspection site that's here in Phoenix. We can give you the instructions on how to do this if you contact our office. Okay. So now we're going to move things over to immigration documentation. I'm going to toss this back to Cassandra.
okay, so the first place we're going to start, next slide, is with your passport. So your passport is something that we are really wanting to impress upon students that you have to maintain a valid passport at all times. So we get a lot of questions from students asking if it's okay if it expires because they're not planning to travel anytime soon. But your passport is something that you should have valid at all times in order to remain in the US. Passport renewals or replacements while you're in the US can be done through your country's embassy or consulate. We really recommend just paying attention, kind of looking at your end date. And if you know your end date is coming up in the next year, that you start planning ahead to make sure that you start the process to get it renewed. Do not let your passport expire. It causes a lot of issues for students when they don't have a valid passport while they're in the US. So another document is your visa. So this is something that is in your passport, but it is considered a separate document. Now your visa is a little bit different. So your visa, kind of have an illustration here of thinking of your visa stamp as a key, because you need your visa to get into the country, just like you need a key in order to enter your house. But once you've entered your home, you don't necessarily need your key in your hand anymore. You don't need it again until you leave your house and then want to re-enter it. So that's similar with a visa. So a visa is a document needed to enter the US. So it has to be valid while you are traveling into the US, but it can expire while you are in the US, and you would be okay to stay in the US as long as you continue to maintain your F1 status. So visa renewals can only be done outside the US. So with the US Embassy outside the US. Thankfully, a valid visa is not required for a lot of applications, but it is required if you want to open your bank account. So usually we recommend not delaying in opening your bank account when you get here, just because when you first are here, you definitely will have your visa valid. But like later on, if you're wanting to apply for some of the other benefits on the F1 visa, it's not required to have a valid visa. So as we talk about visa, and I've now talked about immigration status, this is an area that does sometimes cause confusion with students, and it can be a little bit confusing. So I did want to share kind of what are the difference between when we talk about your immigration status and then your visa. So your immigration status is tied to your SEVIS record, and it's your overall status here in the US. So with your immigration status, you have an I-20 or a DS 2019 that has a program start date and a program end date. And that helps indicate how long you're eligible to stay in the US in your status. Now, with your SEVIS record and your immigration status, it is something that potentially you could transfer to another school. So if a student is wanting to transfer to another university, a SEVIS record can be transferred to another university. But if a SEVIS record is closed or terminated, and a termination would be the result of if a student hasn't followed the regulations, it does mean that you're no longer eligible to remain in the US in that status, but it doesn't necessarily cancel or revoke a student's visa, because again, your visa is a document and you need it when you're entering the US, but again, it can expire while you're here, and as long as you have maintained your immigration status, then there's no problem with your visa being expired. You would just have to make sure that you renew your visa the next time you're planning to travel outside the country and want to re-enter the US. Now, a note about visas, a visa can only be revoked by the US government. So whereas ISSC has kind of authority over your SEVIS record, and if there was a break in regulations, we would be obligated to terminate your SEVIS record. Your visa can only be revoked by the US government. And it's not ISSC's job or authority to like deport a student. So I do want to just kind of say the difference between like departing the US or deporting or deportation. So sometimes we'll have students say, are you going to deport me if I break this rule? We don't have the authority to actually make someone leave the US, but we would say if your SEVIS record is terminated, you no longer have legal status to stay here, and we recommend you depart the US just to make sure you're not accruing any unlawful presence here. So I know this is kind of a big topic, but we did just want to clarify some of that information just so students can have an understanding of what it means to be here with your status and then have either a valid or expired visa. So the next document is either an I-20 or a DS 2019. So if you're an F1 student, you will have an I-20. If you are a J1 student, you would have a DS 2019. But this is your document. It's kind of the physical copy of your SEVIS record in a sense. So this is the document, as I mentioned before, that has a program start date and a program end date and kind of has your overall information for your program. So the information on your I-20 or DS 2019 should always be updated. So if at some point you have a change in your major or a change in your degree level, if you get a new passport and your name is different, if your citizenship has changed, any of that information that's on your I-20 or DS 2019 would need to be updated. So that's something that you would want to make sure that you reach out to us, and we would give you directions on the best way to submit that information to us, because your SEVIS record really should always be a reflection of your current information. Now, while we're talking about documents, I did want to mention traveling during your program. So students are eligible to travel throughout their program. So of course, if you were traveling within the US, that may be a little bit different than traveling outside and re-entering the US. But these are the documents that we recommend that if you are going to be traveling internationally and want to re-enter the US, that these are the documents that you have. And the next slide, I'll explain more about a travel signature, but your I-20 or DS 2019 with a travel signature. Again, if you're wanting to re-enter the US, you do have to have a valid visa, a valid passport. Now, these next couple of documents may not always be required at the port of entry, but an enrollment verification or some kind of unofficial transcript and your ASU Sun card. We have had some students report that they have been asked for these just as additional proof of to be able to show that they are an ASU student and that they are maintaining the enrollment requirements. So we just recommend if you have them with you and if they ask, it's just helpful to have those additional documents just in case. So a little bit more about that travel signature. So if you have an I-20, it would be on the second page of your I-20. So it's something that if you are a new student, you wouldn't have a travel signature yet. But the first time that you're planning to travel outside the US, you would submit a request to our office and we would be able to issue a new I-20 that has that travel signature on the back. And a travel signature is valid for 1 year from the date that we sign it. So a question we get often is if, I get my travel signature, can I travel in and out the US multiple times with that one travel signature? And the answer is yes. So once you have that travel signature, it's valid for a year and you could travel in and out the US once, or you could do 20 times. So once you have that, it is valid. And then with the DS 2019, there's a picture there of where that travel authorization is as well. But it is something that is very critical that students plan ahead. So you don't need your travel signature when you're first departing the US, but you do need to make sure that you have it for when you're wanting to re-enter the US. And sometimes students forget and will get calls or emails saying, hey, I'm on the plane, I need my travel signature. And we're not very often able to accommodate those expedited requests. Because of our high volume of students, we do recommend that students plan ahead. So I do see a question in the chat of how long does it take to get a travel signature? So we have a 10 business day processing time on all of our requests. So we definitely recommend that students make sure that they submit this e-form and give themselves probably a couple of weeks, 10 business days, for us to be able to process that request. So for example, if students are traveling this winter break, students could request their travel signature in the beginning of December before they're leaving. So that way they would have it before they're re-entering, maybe the beginning of January. So definitely good to make sure that you plan ahead. Like I said, we are not able to accommodate those last minute requests. We want to be fair to all students and make sure that we're processing things in order. And so being able to take requests as they come is the way that we process, to be fair. So we're going to try another scenario. So we have an F1 student who applied for post-OPT after the completion of their degree. During the time while their application was pending with USCIS, the student's passport expired. So what do we think happened? Do we think that nothing happened? B, their OPT was denied? Or C, they received what's called a request for evidence? Maybe if, I don't know, what's the best way to do this now? Well, we're gonna go ahead and just give you the answer.
Sounds good. Okay, there we go.
So in this situation, the student was sent what's called a request for evidence. So thankfully their OPT was not just outright denied, but USCIS said that they would not continue processing the application until they received an updated passport. Now, USCIS only gives short deadlines for evidence to be submitted. So if a student wasn't able to get their new passport very quickly, their OPT would have been denied. So in this case, thankfully, the student had already applied for their renewed passport and they were able to submit it. But this is just a really good example of how important it is to make sure that you keep your passport updated at all times. Okay, and on to academics.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Cassandra. So we talked about a little bit prior about maintaining your status, and one very important way to do that is to maintain full-time enrollment during your fall and spring semesters. So we're going to talk about those requirements first. If you're an undergraduate student, undergrads need to be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours, but keep in mind at least 9 of those need to be in person because in-person classes are required on an F1 student visa. For graduate students, that's going to be 9 credit hours total with 6 credit hours in person. And if you have an assistantship, a TA position, you would only need to enroll in 6 credit hours, and at least 3 of those credit hours must be in person. So just keep in mind there is one regulation at the bottom, and it is super important because we get a lot of this every semester. You must have in-person credits throughout the entire semester. So you can't be enrolled in all online classes or I-courses. You have to maintain full-time enrollment in person. And here's how you can do it when it comes to our sessions. Our class sessions are broken down either into A and B sections or C. So a C session class goes the entire semester. A is the first half of the semester and B the second half. So you can either take a combination of A and B sessions, or you can take a C, which covers the entire semester. So you need to be enrolled, just keep in mind, in person throughout that entire semester. All right, let's talk about the different types of classes. We have a lot of different types of classes here at ASU. When you're signing up for those classes, just keep in mind that some don't specifically say in person or online, but they're going to be called by a specific name. So it might say hybrid, it might say sync or iCourse. Here's what those terms mean. So a hybrid course is considered an in-person course. You're going to be attending in person. The ASU sync classes are considered online credits. So you wouldn't get that in-person credit that you're looking for in order to maintain your status for in-person credit. iCourses are also online credits, and as well audit courses are classes that are taken for 0 credit. So they're not counted towards your enrollment at all, and you wouldn't receive any credit for it. So that wouldn't count towards that maintaining your status and those credit numbers that we were talking about earlier. All right, let's talk about an enrollment scenario. For example, let's say last spring semester, there was an undergrad who at the beginning of the semester was registered for 9 credits in person and 6 credits online for a total of 15 credits. In the beginning of April, the student decided they no longer wanted to take their in-person classes, and without consulting us, they dropped the class. So that left the student with only 6 credits in person. The ISSC, we reached out to the student several times via emails and phone calls to let the student know that they were no longer meeting the full-time enrollment requirements of at least 9 credits. And the student's academic advisor also tried reaching out to the student. Unfortunately, this student did not respond to any of our communication. So what do you think happened in this scenario? Would it be nothing? Or a hold was placed on the account? Or the student's I-20 or SEVIS record was terminated? There are 3 choices here, so we wouldn't be able to do a raise hand here, but I'll give you guys a minute to kind of think about that. Okay, shall I provide the answer, Cassandra?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so since all F1 students have to meet these enrollment requirements, the ISSC was obligated to terminate the student's record. Unfortunately, we have to follow F1 student regulations, and we're required to terminate the record. So that's why it's super important that you keep in communication with the ISSC. If you're thinking about dropping a course or you're changing your enrollment, we recommend that you always reach out to us and check first before you drop that course and you drop below full-time enrollment. Okay, it looks like we have a question here. How can I check whether my enrolled class is audit or not? So it should say when you're, if you check on the section number, it should actually say audit on that. You should look for that word audit in your course list. So that should be indicated when you're enrolling. You also will see that the course will be listed as far as enrollment count as zero credits. So that would indicate as well, you know, that it could be audit. So next question. I'm a graduate. I have an assistantship for session A and B with a 6 credit hours in-person course and eligible for full-time student. Why I still receive the full-time enrollment alert? Well, a graduate student for an assistantship with session A and B with 6 person, yeah, I would verify and make sure that those credits are in person and that they're not audit courses. So it's difficult to see without looking at your schedule, but if you are getting that alert, I would definitely recommend that you contact the ISSC so we can take a detailed look into your case.
The other thing that sometimes happens with assistantships is that the system has, like the academic system, has to actually have you listed in an assistantship. So just because you've been offered a position, if you're not actually showing active in the system yet as an assistantship, then it's going to be showing in our system that you're not enrolled full time. So of course, if you respond to our email and say, hey, why am I getting this alert? We would be happy to respond to you and let you know that answer, because we want to make sure that you understand your situation.
Excellent point. Thank you. Alrighty, let's move forward to employment. All right, Cassandra, if you can take it away.
I will. So
All
we
right.
will start first with on-campus employment. So if anyone is looking to find a position on campus, it is something that students are eligible to do. You do have to first make sure that you have completed that SEVIS check-in that Cynthia told us about. You do need to make sure that you are meeting those full-time enrollment requirements that we have talked about. The other part of this is that because you are here on a student visa, you do need to make sure that any work that you do is not going to interfere with your studies. So think about it as you are here on a student visa, so that should always be your primary focus. And then any employment is secondary to that. But if you meet those requirements, then you would be eligible to work up to 20 hours per week during the fall and spring semesters. In the school breaks or the summer semester, you could potentially work up to 40 hours per week. So I mentioned earlier winter break. So there is a break between the fall semester and the spring semester that we call winter break. And students are eligible to work up to 40 hours. Of course, it would be dependent on your department that you're working with. The other breaks are the summer semester. You're not required to be enrolled full-time in the summer semester, and so you're eligible to work up to 40 hours. There's also even a week-long spring break. Now in the fall semester, you may see on the calendar a couple of other breaks. There's a fall break, there's a Thanksgiving holiday. Those are not included in this 40 hours. For those weeks, you would still be limited to 20 hours per week. So with on-campus employment, if you do get a job, you would, if you don't have one yet, you would have to apply for a social security number. So if you are someone who's never been employed before in the US, then you would have to apply for a social security number. Now, a lot of students ask us if they can apply for a social security number without having a job, because I think you'll see maybe when you try to apply for an apartment or a bank account, they may ask if you have a social security number. And it's really only meant as a tax ID for someone who has been offered employment. So it's not something that you are eligible for unless you have a job. And a social security number is also not off-campus employment authorization. So the card itself, it's not showing on this little picture I have here, but a social security card specifically says like it is not authorization itself, but requires authorization through DHS. And so while you are authorized to work on campus and then would have that social security number, it does not mean that you can just go work anywhere. And again, it's not required to rent an apartment, to get your phone, to apply for a credit card number. A lot of places may have these on their applications, but if you just explain that you are not eligible for a social security number because you are an international student, if you are one that does not have a job, then you would be able to apply for those things without a social security number. So moving on to off-campus employment. So this is kind of an overview of the types of off-campus employment that may be available to F1 and J1 students. So I do want to reiterate again that working off campus requires work authorization. So no one just has an automatic benefit to go work off campus, and failure to get work authorization will absolutely jeopardize your immigration status. So as we talk about maintaining your status, performing unauthorized work is one of the ways that would result in a termination of your CVIS record. Before I explain what the ways to be authorized, I also want to add that employment in the US isn't always dictated by if you're being paid or not. And so we have sometimes had students say, well, I just want to do this voluntarily. And we would recommend coming to consult with us if you want to do something off campus and not get paid, because the government's definition of volunteer work does not always line up with what we may think volunteer work is. A lot of times doing work without getting pay is just considered unpaid employment and could be still something that leads to the termination of your CVIS record. So just wanted to get all of that out of the way before I talk about what are the ways to be authorized off campus. So there's something called CPT, curricular practical training, which I'll explain a little bit more in a minute. And then there's something called optional practical training, which is a benefit for students after they've completed their degree requirements. In both of these authorizations, a student has to have been here in the US in their status for one academic year before they would be eligible. And then if there are any J1 students here, there is something called academic training that students may be eligible after their first semester in the US. So with CPT, I really would recommend students, if you want to know more information about it, that you can go to our website. But I did mention that the main eligibility requirement to just even be eligible is that you have to have been here for one academic year before you're eligible. If you are in a graduate program where you are required to be in an internship program right away, there may be an exception to that. But in general, what CPT is an opportunity for students to work off campus because of a class that they're taking. So if you are enrolled in an internship class, and part of that is saying, you know, you're required to get an internship, then you can apply for this work authorization that allows you to get that internship off campus in conjunction with this class that you're taking. So kind of some of the ways here that you may be eligible is if you have an internship class in your program that's required of everyone to take. It could be that your degree program doesn't have it as required, but it is an approved elective for your program. And then the internship just has to be like an integral part. If you're a PhD or master's thesis student, maybe you're required to do that internship as part of that part of your program. So we really do recommend you can check with your academic advisor to see if your degree program has internship classes. And then you can check on our website to see more details about all of that. So I know we're kind of running toward the end of our time, so I'll go through this quickly. But so if we haven't, this is an unauthorized employment scenario. So we have one F1 student who gets an on-campus job. It's for 20 hours a week, but 1 week they're sick and they only work 16 hours. So they decide that the next week they want to make up those hours and they work 24 hours. So the student tells us they knew about the 20-hour rule, but they thought that they could average the hours. We have another student who started working off campus at a gas station. The student's relative owned the gas station and they started working there as a favor to the family. So the student told us that since their relative owned the gas station and they were just helping out, they thought that they didn't need any kind of work authorization for that. So I'll skip the suspense. We can go ahead and give the answer.
Okay, I'm going to put the answer there.
Okay, and just say that unfortunately in this situation, both of the students had to have their CVIS record terminated for unauthorized employment. So just as a reminder, these are federal regulations. So it's not something that we can make an exception about. And so we really hope that students pay attention to these rules. And I think we're down to like 3 minutes, Cynthia, with wrapping up.
Okay, let's wrap up then. Some final reminders here. This is our eForm portal. If you're not familiar with it, please do become familiar with it. You can use this portal for all travel signatures, CPT, OPT requests. They can all be done through the My ISSC eForm portal, and here is the link up above. All right, and a final reminder for some of you about drugs and alcohol. Just keep in mind that you are on a student visa, right? And that's a U.S. visa, federal visa. So you have to follow federal laws. That comes down to the drinking age, of course, so you might be familiar with is 21 here, so you're not permitted to buy, consume, or possess alcohol if you're under the age of 21. And then also Arizona state law, it allows the legal sale of marijuana to people 21 and over, but federal law prohibits this as you're on a federal visa, U.S. visa. So the use, consumption, or possession of marijuana is not permitted for international students. So just as a friendly reminder, breaking U.S. laws can result in serious consequences. Okay. Also, we want to make you guys aware of scams. This is something that we are seeing more and more of as time goes on, and we really want to heighten the awareness on these things. These scams are getting more and more complicated. There's government employment related job scams. There are immigration and government agency and tax related scams. So if they're using scare tactics or trying to ask you for your personal information via email or phone call or ask for money, please contact the ISSC immediately and report any scams to the ASU Police Department. Do not give them out your personal information. Do not give them money or go buy gift cards. Just feel free to contact first the ISSC in this case. All right, let's run through a quick scam scenario. An F1 student receives a call from someone claiming they did not enter the US correctly and they must immediately take actions to correct the error. Notice how that's a scare tactic. The caller tells a student that to correct the error, they must send the caller $5,000. They're asking for money. The caller insists that they are calling from ICE and will have the student deported if they do not pay them $5,000. So what should the student do? All right, I will just answer this right away. It's a scam call, right? US government agencies will never call students on the phone asking for money to be paid for something. Immediately hang up the phone if the caller demands for money for anything. You can also call the ISSC. We'll be happy to help you, and you can also report that to us. Okay. Since we're short on time here, I'm going to go through this quickly. We have a lot of campus resources here. We've got admission services, career services, counseling, financial aid and scholarship, health services, registrars, which is right next to us here in the student services building, and student business services, which is in the second floor right above us. So here's all the links. Feel free to use those. And final reminders here, please check out our website for our various resources. We have a wealth of information on our webpage. It's issc.asu.edu, and there is a lot of great resources on there. So please read the website, check it out. There's a lot of great info there. And also, if you go to our events page, there are some wonderful workshops and events that go on here at the ISSE and across the campuses. We have a lot of coffee and tea conversations. We've got a Learn Arizona series, karaoke nights. I've also attended tea ceremonies, so there's a lot of great stuff out there. Just go to the event page and you can be able to register for those events on that website. And last piece of information, if you want to follow us on social media, here's our info. We are on Facebook and various other places. Please check us out. We've got lots of great webinars out there, great resources for you to check out. We'd love for you to be a part of our community on social media. All right. So just a friendly reminder here, if you'd like to contact us or visit us, feel free to stop by our front desk at any time. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're located in the Student Services Building. That's our main phone line, and our email address. As Cassandra mentioned earlier, we do have in-person advising now. If you prefer to do things on Zoom, we also offer virtual drop-in advising. So if you click on that link, you'll be able to follow that. And if you'd like to check out some of our other campus visits, we do have DSOs that visit other campuses. If you click on that page, you'll be able to find out that information on where to find us at each campus.
All right. Well, thank you all for having us. Sorry we went over a couple of minutes,
Yes,
but
sorry.
really recommend that you just reach out to us if you have further questions. So thank you, Daniel, for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Cassandra and Cynthia, and thank you all the individuals who asked questions. We appreciate that. We want to make sure that the information is clear and that you have the information you need. As they stated, we welcome you to join any future advising sessions, both virtual and in person, for individual case questions. With that, I'm going to keep moving us along. We have a couple more presenters who want to speak to you today. I am going to share a few tips right now with you on adjusting to the United States and adjusting to the academic culture in the USA. So with that, I have some slides here I'm going to go through. All right. So with the US classroom culture, a few things that I wanted to cover. Topics: entering the classroom, finding information, assignment expectations, negotiating grades, kind of the way the classroom is centered, emailing your professor. So we're going to cruise through these pretty quickly today, and I hope that you'll be able to check these out later. We're going to start with some scenarios, some situations. You are 20 minutes late for a lecture. When you arrive, you can see from the door that the lecture has already started. What would be the best thing to do? All right. Should you knock on the door, enter, and say hello? Should you go in, walk up to the professor and apologize? Wait outside, and when the class is over, apologize to the professor? Or knock and wait and told to, let me try that again. Knock and wait to be told to enter? Or E, enter quietly, take a seat, trying not to be noticed. Again, I know with the chat feature not working, it's hard to actually raise hands and or participate as far as guessing. But we wanted you to be able to still see the choices so you could think about it. In the United States culture, it's, making an apology or any other noise kind of disrupts the flow of class. So even though your gesture, even though your intention is to be helpful and is good, they can be considered rude. And so the scenario that our recommendation, if you're ever late to class, which we hope that you're not, please just enter quietly, find an open seat, sit down, start taking notes or whatever you need to do. All right. Number 2, you missed the information for the big assignment due tomorrow. What are the best steps to find out the information? Should you email your professor? If they don't respond, don't do the assignment. I'm going to give you a hint. That's not it. Should you check the syllabus, check Canvas, check with a classmate, and then finally email the professor? That one sounds pretty good. Should you ask a classmate and then email the professor? All right, so the best is B, which was check the syllabus, check your Canvas. If you have Canvas for the course, check with the classmate, and then if all else fails, if none of those work, email the professor. The professor has designed resources for you that should have all the information necessary. So please use the tools provided first by the professor. And it's not saying that the professor can't make a mistake. They do sometimes. And so a follow-up with them directly may be necessary, but try checking things first. That way you do know that you've checked everything available to you, and you can then reach out to the professor with confidence. All right, number 3, you need to ask for an extension to your assignment due date because you have not finished an important essay for another class. What would you be most likely to do? Hire someone to write your paper for you? No, please never ever do this. Say you're sick, then take extra time to complete all your work. Prove that you had too many assignments due at the same time by making a chart that compares the amount of work with the hours in the day. If you have time to do this, you probably could have done your assignment. Or D, reflect on your situation. Think about why you haven't been able to meet your deadlines. Email your professor before the due date explaining your problem, and seek out and ask for help managing your time. So it's very important to communicate with your professors when you're having trouble. Professors in the United States, they want you to reach out to them. That could be via email, that could be through email, that could be through office hours, whatever they've set up for communication. Again, look at your situation and think about maybe how you got there as far as your time. I know sometimes it takes more time to read or to reread books or articles, especially as you're getting into some of the new vocabulary for your major that might not be quite as common. So definitely use resources such as tutoring, writing centers, and other things. They're all free to you and are very valuable resources at ASU. All right, number 4, you worked hard on an assignment and are eager to see the good marks from your professor. However, when it was returned to you, your grade was a C- with critical feedback from your professor. All right, if you want to discuss this with your faculty, with your professor, what should you do? Should you accept that the professor just doesn't like you and disregard the comments? Please don't do this. Should you reflect on the comments, review the materials, and ask your study group until you understand? After class, ask the professor why he gave you a C-, or reflect on the comments with your professor and discuss how you might improve. So C and D are both acceptable. Actually, I'd say B and D. Sorry, I might need to update that. B and D are both acceptable. Reflecting before acting gives you time to gain a more objective view. Take time to read, reread, think it through. Don't react too emotionally or too escalated or elevated. Focus on what your professor wants you to understand. All right, and help to relieve maybe any hurt feelings and help your success. Again, study groups and study partners are important. Make sure that you are just studying together, you're not copying each other's work. Using the tutoring centers as a sign of responsibility and the writing centers. And of course, professors are available, but be respectful of their time. Email them, set up a time, visit them during office hours. They might have to go to another class too after their class ends, or they might need to get out of the way so the next class and the next professor can enter. That's why maybe talking to them after class isn't always the easiest. A few things here to highlight some of the differences potentially in the U.S. classroom. Learner-centered classroom. So down in the gray is what we encourage all faculty, professors to utilize. So more engagement, more interaction where possible versus just the teacher lecturing. Again, so here for teaching methods. In some places, there may be just a straight lecture. That might be more if you're in like some larger classes with big lecture halls, 300-400 students. But if you're in smaller classes, especially as you get to your upper division classes, hopefully there are chances for lectures, class discussion, and group discussion. In fact, some of your grade may be based on your participation in the class and you adding comments and you responding to discussions. Sometimes the instructor's role will be just direct learning process and a source of knowledge. In other words, they have a PowerPoint and they just lecture. In other instances, again, maybe in smaller classes or seminars, they present the readings and then they help facilitate dialogue. They ask you what you think. They ask you to think critically. They ask you to talk about the reading and your opinion on it. They want you to analyze and give feedback. All right, how about you as a learner? In some scenarios, again, depending on the size of the class and the professor, you might just be there to listen to the lecture, take notes, read the text, memorize things potentially for quizzes, papers, and other assessments. But some other professors might ask you to be a little bit different or behave differently in the class. They might not only ask you to listen and to read, but they might also ask you to think critically about the content, express your views, your perspectives, show what you think about it. I know sometimes this is hard. This might be difficult because you think, well, this individual who wrote the book or the article is the expert. But they had to become the expert through studying and through sharing their opinion. And that's what we want from you too. We want you to criticize, we want you to analyze, and we want you to become an expert. In some classrooms, the instructor or the TA might be the sole source of guiding the discussion. But in other classes, there might be more student presentations and things of that nature to where you take an active part in the learning process. Computer and internet usage, again, this is going to be up to the instructor, to the professor, to the TA. Figure out what software you might need, if any, what websites are available, what extra things you can do to study and to learn, what journals are available, what are good sites and resources. That way you can integrate them into your learning. Sometimes, again, learning mode will be top down, just instructor talking to student. Sometimes you'll be asked to participate, to cooperate, group activities. Again, if you don't feel comfortable giving presentations, these are the times now to start utilizing these skills and to start learning. How do I give up? How do I get up, not give up? How do I get up and give a presentation? How do I get myself comfortable to present in a classroom? These are things you can start practicing now with the tutoring centers and other academic helps at ASU. Your exams will come in a variety of formats. There could be written exams, oral exams, essays, presentations, discussions, quizzes, group projects. Sometimes you might even be asked to grade your classmates, peer evaluations. So just understand that during your academic journey here, you might be asked to do a lot of different things. It's not always going to be the same. And take the time to understand what the professor is asking of you and how they're going to grade it so you know how to best engage and participate. Of course, instructors are going to evaluate students. They're going to give you grades and feedback. But in some points of your academic career, well, in many points of your academic career, you're going to have the chance to evaluate instructors. At the end of a class, there'll be a survey sent to you where you can give feedback on how the class went and how the professor did. Please know that this is anonymous, okay? So don't be afraid that the professor is going to try to come find you and be mad at you. It's going to affect your grade. It's not. These feedback, this is anonymous, and they want your honest feedback. And again, sometimes classmates get to evaluate each other on how they did on the group work or the presentation, things of that nature. That can be a little uncomfortable at times. So if you need help, make sure to talk to your professor during office hours to figure out how to do this in a manner that's comfortable for you. Know what the outcome is from the professor. Do they want you just to take test, memorize text, answer a multiple choice test? Or are you going to have to write essays and evaluate and analyze and do things of that nature? The professors will guide you on what the expectation is for your class. This one is really important, so I want to spend a little more time here. Please communicate with your professor or teaching assistant or whomever it may be, but there is a certain kind of protocol, culture to help the professor respond to you in the best manner possible. So here's some of our advice. Address your professor by name, remaining polite and formal. So dear Dr. So-and-so, dear professor, however they've asked you to address them. If they haven't given you specific guidelines, using dear professor in their last name or dear doctor in their last name are probably some of the safer ways to do this to remain polite and formal. In the email, please give your full name to the professor. And if there's a nickname they know you by, potentially, if it's a smaller class, you can use that as well so that they see who you're talking about. Please let them know which class you have and what specific day and time. So here the T/R stands for Tuesday/Thursday. That way they know what section in case they're teaching multiple sections of the class. Please make sure you're clear on what you're asking them, using good punctuation, grammar, things of that nature. That way they know what the specific request is and what they're trying to answer for you. If you need to meet with them instead of just an email response, please list some availability that you have. If there are office hours, please list your availability during their office hours. That way they can schedule the time for you or tell you just to come at that time. And please thank them for their time and their consideration in reading your email. All right, last few tips from me here. Read the syllabus, arrive on time, maintain good attendance, again, take good notes. Check in on Canvas often if that's where readings or quizzes or things are posted. If there are study groups available and you have the time, please attend them and learn from your peers, from your classmates. Attend tutoring as available. Again, visit professors during office hours. This is a common practice, and that's why they offer it. They want you to come. And last reminder, email professors as needed. All right. Well, that is my part of the presentation here today. I hope that part has been helpful for you. What I am going to do now is I am going to turn the time over to my colleague, Aziz, who is going to talk to you about some of the services from Career Services that they have to offer. For those of you who might be thinking about some of the things that Cassandra and Cynthia talked about, CPT, OPT, on-campus employment, we have specific resources dedicated to international students, and so I'm going to have him talk about that right now. And of course, I'll still be monitoring the Q&A box. Feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're good, Aziz.
Perfect. I'm excited to be here and to introduce the career services here at ASU. Our mission is to help our students prepare for their careers after college and even within their time here in college. My name is Aziz, and like yourself, I'm also an international student here at ASU. I'm currently a master's student, and I'm working as a management intern for the global initiatives at the Career Services. And what we do is we're focused on helping international students prosper and help them with their career. A little agenda about what we're gonna go through today is what is Career Services, and we're gonna cover a typical career trajectory and why or how can Career Services help you as an international student. And I'm also gonna share an abundance of resources we offer to our international students. So what is Career Services? It's a one-stop hub for everything related to ASU students and related to their careers. Some of the most important resources we offer are career advising. We can help our students explore career options. We have a ton of workshops that we hold where we bring in employers to ASU. And career fairs, and feel free to scan the QR code if you're interested in checking out our website. So a typical career path, and everyone I think before coming into college thinks, I'm gonna get my degree and I'm gonna have a career within that field, and everyone thinks it's a straight line But in reality, a career is identified by many different aspects. It's like a maze where you would go through experiences in college. A lot of students might change their majors or add some minors, um, gain experiences throughout college. They might change their academic interests, and all these different aspects intertwine and result in the career or job you want post college. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play when it comes to figuring out what career you'd like for the future. So always be mindful of, trying to maximize your experiences in college. And college is a great way to find out your true passion and where you see yourself in the future. So with that being said, the question you have to ask yourself isn't what can I do with my major, but instead, how can you market your skills and knowledge and experiences that your degree brings? You'll be learning a lot of different things and skills in classes. So it's important to highlight the skills that you see yourself doing in the long term. So why hire international students? And this question is targeted towards employers because international students bring global ideas, different languages, skills, and unique experiences to every organization. Hiring international students is simpler than you might think. Work authorization, as discussed previously in this presentation, is very common in most majors. International students bring skills like grit and cultural competency, which is valuable to employers. Employers can also save money by hiring international students. Employers can also find qualified talent, and international Sun Devils are coming with more experience every single year. How can career services help you as an international student? So we're a centralized platform that provides essential resources and support to help our students at ASU. So engaging with career services can give you a competitive edge and increase your confidence and chances to land meaningful employment after graduation. And we're committed to all students' career success, no matter what stage they're in life. These are some resources we provide for international students. And I'll be highlighting some of them that I think are very valuable. But some of them are Interstride and Handshake, which are job search platforms. VMOC is a resume reviewing system. So when you start thinking about developing your resume, I would highly recommend utilizing this system to help you improve your resume. Forage is a platform that offers skill building and mainly virtual work experiences where a lot of companies give you an opportunity to grow your skills through their courses. We also have some resources of when you want to work, interview, or apply to jobs in the US. And finally, career advising, and that can come in many different forms, and I'll get into more detail in a bit. So what can we advise on? Really, when it comes to that question, it's career exploration, resume and cover letter assistance, job and internship search, how can you get an informational interview, salary negotiation, and really all these different skills that are essential when you start thinking of what you want to do next after college. So feel free to scan either of these resources that I discussed. Again, VMOC is the resume reviewing system, and Forage is a platform that you can develop some of your technical skills that will make you stand out amongst competitors. And if you would like to schedule career advising appointments or need help with searching for jobs and internships, feel free to scan this QR code, and we're more than happy to assist our international students in helping them with their internship and job search, and even reviewing their resume and application materials. And InterStride, I think, is a really valuable platform for international students. It was actually created by an international student who decided to create a website that has a lot of different opportunities targeted towards international students that hire for OPT, CPT, and H-1B. So I would highly recommend creating your digital profile on InterStride, and it provides you with an opportunity to network with other students as well as employers if you'd like to get an internship or work post-college. These are some of our fall career fairs this semester. We have a lot of employers who are going to be attending these career fairs, so it's a good opportunity to network and possibly get your next internship or your job post-college. I know a wide variety of different employers are coming from different industries, and it's a great way to even sharpen your networking skills. I personally found this very useful, and I know a lot of my friends who got jobs through career fairs. And what's interesting is this year, we're doing something specifically for international students. So if you decide to attend one of these career fairs, behind all the employers that hire for CPT, OPT, or H-1B, we are having a globe behind their booth that signifies that they hire international students. So be on the lookout for the balloons if you decide to show up to the career fairs. Your future starts here. We're happy to assist you at the career services, and feel free to drop any questions below. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Aziz. We appreciate you being here and sharing that information. To wrap up today, we have a couple of current students, Jitesh and Mudit, who are here. And I'm going to ask both of them just to take 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, to talk about their experience as an ASU student, maybe share what some of their favorite things were so far, or some of their favorite offices they've reached out to for help. And then I'm going to open it up for you to type questions to the students in our Q&A box. So Jitesh, if you wouldn't mind starting, just introducing yourself and some of the great experience, 1 or 2 great experiences you've had at ASU so far.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. So I'm Jitesh. So I'm currently working as an Indian student support assistant under Meenakshi Tiwari. I'm currently working with ISSC. So I had a great experience throughout my career. I have been here for like a year. I came here like last fall. I had plenty of different experiences from all around the globe. Students are here at ISSC. I have personally, I had some issues with my name because, as you see, I only have first name, so I don't have a last name. So there were so many problems, but I was very lucky to have ISSC as my backbone. They were there to guide me. If you have any questions or anything you want to know regarding any like career-wise, academic-wise, or ISSC, I can be here to help you all. We are having a lot of events in coming weeks, like Chat and Chat and other international events. I will be there. Looking forward to help you all. Thank you.
Great, awesome. So I've known Jitesh for like some time now. So hi everyone, my name is Mudit. I'm a sophomore. So I joined in spring, so technically I'm supposed to be a junior, but I'm a sophomore, and I'm double majoring in robotics and TEM. I'm just typing it in the chat so that it's easier for you guys. So it's a long name. It's Technological Entrepreneurship and Management, and it's like a really great course. Talks a lot about entrepreneurship, etc. But I've been here for 1.5 years, and since Jitesh has already gone over the ISSC part of it, I don't want to go over it again. What I want to tell you is that just because just because it has the name international in it, it's useful. I mean, it's for international. Every other organization that's out there that does not have international in its name is also there to help you. So if you want to improve the campus, if you have something that you think you can do for the campus, there are places like Dean of Students Office that I have worked as a director of outreach for the undergraduate student government at the Polytechnic campus. So there's a Dean of Student Office at every campus. And then there are Changemaker Central. So I've been part of all of this, and getting involved has what really made my experience at ASU really, I mean, flourish. And so many things, so many different so many different segments of life coming together at ASU. So it has been amazing for me so far, at least. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both. And I do want to recognize that my colleague Haley is here with us as well. Haley, if you wanted to say anything really quickly to the group or not, or if I caught you off guard.
I mean, yes, but that's okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say hi. I do a lot of the programming here for international students. So I strongly suggest for you guys to get involved and come to our events. This week we had international karaoke night at the pool with 300 people having fun singing, eating food, swimming if they want, to working with Aziz and his team over at Career Services to make sure you guys find jobs on campus and of course jobs after campus. But we do a lot here for you. So I know our emails are long. Do check them though. Check if they're on your campus. I just went to downtown campus today, and we've had 2 events down there this week. So we're really branching off to other campuses to make sure you have some things to do on other areas, not just in Tempe. But check out our Instagram. We post that a lot. And also, if you are a first-year student, which you should be if you're here, you have a Canvas course. So you should also be looking at your first-year undergrad or graduate Canvas course. We'll have events and resources there. Do interact with that and let us know if you need anything. We really do respond even when it's like event requests and we don't have something that you want. I can look at the calendar and try to work it in and see if our volunteers would like to host an event for you. And welcome.
All right, again, as I promised, please use that Q&A box. Please submit questions for us now that either myself or one of my fellow what am I trying to say here? One of our current students can help answer for you. So now is the time to pop some questions, to add some questions into the Q&A box. If you don't have any questions, feel free to go ahead and leave for the day, unless you want to stay here and hear other people's questions and how we answer them. As a reminder, we did record today's session. I will be sending the recording out to everybody in case you came late or there's part that you missed or wanted to see or hear again. So please know that will be going out. But for those of you that want to stay and ask us some questions, we will be here. Please add them to the Q&A box and we will answer them as they come in. Do we need to sign somewhere to register our presence? You already did when you registered for the session today, so I have the information of everybody who registered. Again, any questions? This is your time. We're happy to answer them. If not, so again, you please feel free to go. Please enjoy your long weekend. I know you might be doing a lot of studying or catching up, or maybe even catching up on sleep. So hope you enjoyed and that you're safe this weekend. All right. Another one of our students has joined. Any other questions for us in the Q&A box?
We didn't do Shaurya's intro, so let's do that.
I'm sorry, Mooded, I didn't quite catch that.
I'm saying we didn't do Shaurya's intro, so let's.
All right, yes, Shaurya, please feel free to introduce yourself to the students.
Hi everybody, my name is Shaurya Manglik and I'm the student body president for the Polytechnic campus. How you can make use, I had a whole presentation prepared, but I kind of am late. So I'll just give an overview of what we do. So I work in the undergraduate student government at the Polytechnic campus. What exactly is that is we offer a lot of free resources and we advocate for students of the Polytechnic campus. But the undergraduate student government is at every single campus. So if you're a Tempe student or a downtown student or a West student, you will also have your own undergrad student government. So if you have any problems, questions, queries about your experience at ASU, whether it be academics, whether it be how things go on, please reach out to us. I will be putting some information in the chat. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Thank you so much. And as he mentioned, undergraduate student government is a huge resource for you here. They're your voice to university leadership. So please feel free to learn more about them. Any of you that are graduate students, there's also what's known as the GPSA, Graduate and Professional Student Association. That again is a representation of you as a student in your voice to ASU leadership. So please learn about them and take advantage of those resources. All right, I'll keep this open for about, another 5 minutes or so, and to see if there are any other questions that you have in the Q&A box. I know this is a repetitive, but as a reminder, we will be sending this out to all the students, both those who attended and could not join today, so you can watch it later. Well, maybe not 5 more minutes if there are no other questions. Thank you for being here on a Friday afternoon, and we hope you have a good weekend and that you enjoy your time at ASU. Go Sun Devils.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Have a good day.